4 years ago, I bought this giant car factory to start it up again and start making my own affordable truck. And in that 4 years, we've had fires, floods, break-ins, garbage dumping, and all sorts of things. So what has happened in 4 years? I want to take you on a tour of the place, show you what we've done and what the plan is going to be. Come on. So this door kind of tells the whole story. They painted this on the door so that when people were walking up from the parking lot, they wouldn't even get to the door before they found out that there weren't jobs here. I grew up here and I've watched factories like this close all of the time and they just let everybody go. And so I wanted to save one of these instead of watching another one crumble into the earth. This place makes no financial sense, and maybe it's all emotional, but I want to show you some of the cool things we have going on inside, and then you decide if we can pull this thing off. Come on in. Behind me is building 1 of 5 buildings. So this is where it all started. 102 years ago, Link Belt built this building right here, and then they grew out of this thing to make this whole factory complex. This is going to be our design center. So this is where we're going to have everyone working on computers and designing up the future. We'll also have events here, so if you come to an event at the factory, you'll be in this place. Right now, it's full of cool old project cars, and I want to show you these things, and then you let me know what we do with them. I want to hear in the comments what you think we can do with old cars like this. Like a 1965 Plymouth Fury 3. I bought this thing in Portland, Oregon, and I drove it back here for a magazine article. It's been sitting ever since. The car actually runs great. I don't really want to mess with it. It's kind of nice having it be clean and functional, even though it's all covered in dirt right now. But maybe we can do something with it. We have the 1973 Dodge Aspen, which is considered the worst car that Chrysler has ever made. We got this one for free. It just needed a starter and some gas, and the thing runs just great. It's a slant 6, of course. This is a car I have no idea what to do with. This is a 1973 Volvo 145E. It does not run. It needs some fuel injection parts, so I think it needs a Coyote V8. I like the wagon a lot. And if you just look at this thing, it has so much charm and personality, but it's also been sitting here for a while. I bought it in Carmel by the Sea, and I drove it back here. It left me stranded in the desert twice. Miraculously, we got it back here to Detroit. This is my 1985 Peugeot 505, and this is one of my favorite cars that I own. I got this for about $200, drove it up here from Atlanta, runs and drives great despite all of the dirt on it. This thing I think needs to be a rally project. This car speaks rally to me. It says off-road excellence, and Peugeot, you know, obviously having their rally program kind of lends itself to that. Everyone always asks me about that car, and they ask, is it some kind of 5 Series? No, Peugeot, Baguettes. I've got a lot of questions about this. This is a massive 60-foot by 20-foot slot car track. It was built in 1992. We bought it from a place that was going out of business, and I just wanted to save the thing. I didn't want it to go in some old guy's basement, so we're going to set it up here in the design center so people can play with it. Maybe at events you will come and participate. I want to do like a 24-hour of slot car thing, which is a horrible idea, but we're going to do it anyway. There's also a drag strip track. This is a 1/4 mile scaled down. The cars cover that in less than a second. It's super, super cool. Now, perhaps the car I get the most question about is this one right over here. This is my Hachi Roku. It doesn't currently run. It's missing the whole intake side of the engine, so it means it kind of wants a black top. I don't really know what to do with this car. I both want to do like a restoration project, but then also I'm kind of drawn to like endurance racing. So you tell me what you think we should do with the Hachi Roku. The one thing you can't suggest is that I sell it to you because I'm not going to sell it. I don't want to sell it. Same goes for this one. This is my rally car. So this is the rally car that I bought when I was starting my rally career. I did not do fantastic in this car with all of its 86 horsepower, but it is a rally car that is ready to go. I should give it a bath. I should get it running again, but here it sits like everything else. So come this way. This actually is kind of something I'm very excited about, even though it doesn't look exciting. This is a vehicle wrap printer, so we can print our own wrap. So as an idea strikes us, we can wrap the car. Race cars run on their marketing. Should be able to wrap our own cars. There's an HP printer, all the matching laminators and stuff like that. So this is perhaps my favorite part of the building. This is the alley. So this was a public alley until 1978, and they closed this whole place in to make this one contiguous factory. I don't really know what we're going to do with this as like a workspace. It's kind of the wrong shape to make it a workspace, being long and narrow. But we're going to find a way to use this for something, maybe like a coffee shop, another event space. I don't quite know, open to ideas. So this is probably the most exciting part of the factory because this is the part we're using right now. This is the race garage. So this is where we're doing all of our racing projects currently. This is where the rally team is headquartered out of. It's where we're building our other race cars. This is also where we're gonna build our prototypes. A lot of you are familiar with this car right here. This is my GC Subaru rally car that I won the championship with last year. I also crashed it into a tree doing 70. You okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Which is how the entire side of the car is scalloped. It runs great, it drives great, just needs an entirely new body on it. I'm not gonna reshell the car. It's probably an opportunity for a wide body kit. So that is an open project. Also, like this, speaking of open projects, this is the Battlegate. So I was telling you earlier about break-ins. People keep trying to break into my car factory, which is why I'm building a Battlegate, part 7. You have to speed. This intrepid individual tried to smash his van through our gate to get our catalytic converters. While we didn't get the act on camera, we did get the audio of it. Aftermath was a little more obvious. Our $11,000 gate was completely destroyed. This is my 3,000-pound gate that we're building to defend the factory against, break-ins and people trying to drive their car through the front gate. This has been a long project. I think we're at about 400 days on this project so far. Maybe this is the year to get it done. I'm hoping so. Right now, it's taking up a huge part in the middle of the fabrication area, so I prefer if this thing got done and got up there. Break-in season is coming back again soon. We haven't had a break-in in a while, which makes me nervous, like we're due for one or something. I know that's not reasonable. We have all new cameras around the building, so there's a guard service that watches the whole place. Seems to work out pretty well. There's also cellular backups and many layers of security now that seem to be working, but this is not an invitation if you are in the burglaring profession to come and try your craft, please. So one of the reasons why I think that we can actually manufacture something here in this old factory is that we've somehow scored an entire fleet of industrial robots. These are robots from ABB and FANUC. This is the smallest of them. This is actually like the demo robot. We have much larger ones that we can use to manufacture whatever we want. The question is exactly what are we going to manufacture and when, but the robots make that much, much easier to do precision manufacturing stuff. We have this one on a skid so we can try it out and learn how to program these things. Programming them has turned out to be a lot harder than you might think. I thought they would just kind of do what you asked them to do, but that is not the case. The second problem that we've gotten into is that we have an enormous number of roof leaks around the factory. So there are parts where the drains are damaged and the water just drains right into the building. It's not untenable, but it is something that we need to address really soon. I've gotten a lot of quotes from roofing companies. They want like $300,000 or $400,000 to re-roof the entire place. That is obviously not in the budget. So I'm gonna have to learn how to do roofing. I want to take you back to the vintage motorcycle world, which is a world that is cursed. We'll come this way. So this is vintage motorcycle world back here. And I have a curse where I cannot stop collecting vintage motorcycles. And so I think I'm up to about 30 right now. The problem with vintage bikes is that when you let them sit for a little while, they become non-running bikes. So I think everything here is pretty much non-running by this point. Carbs need cleaned, batteries need charged. I don't know if we're gonna do a whole lot of vintage motorcycle content. I'm not really sure that's something that my audience is looking for. If I'm wrong about that, let me know. We've got a lot of bikes to choose from if we want to do vintage motorcycle stuff. I just enjoy it personally. We have another MVP here. Put this cart away. This is an all-wheel drive chassis dyno sitting under here. We bought this from Michigan State University. It's basically unused. We had to go remove it ourselves, but there's two giant things under there that make up a chassis dyno that we can drive a car on and get its horsepower rating. And so this makes this complex a lot more fun if we can dyno and tune cars actively. The game here for this whole place is going to be about taking all of these things that we have. We have all this cool junk, but getting it organized into some kind of useful fashion to do projects. Because right now we've done projects, but they've been really slow. If you followed along on short form, you've seen that we can start some things, we get kind of far, but then we get sort of stuck. The long form, for me, is a way that we can get a lot of projects done that have been waiting for months or years, like the Battlegate. Come through this way. I'll hold the door up so you don't get crushed. This is the logistics center. So this is where we get all of our shipping and receiving. We can receive 2 trucks at once, which is awesome. They used to receive stuff by rail here, and now we got stuff by truck. Right now, it's just a bunch of boxes. This doesn't really inspire too much. This is where we have new cardboard boxes for shipping products. I used to do industrial surplus, and so we would buy and sell like electric motors and belts and machines and stuff like that. I still have some inventory, but I haven't done a lot of that recently. Been kind of obsessed with racing cars and building them, so a lot less time for the industrial surplus. But so they started this place to make assembly line parts, and then they made car parts, and then for the last 50 years, it was an envelope factory. So this warehouse is where they used to have giant stamping presses, and then they switched into a paper storage warehouse when they were making envelopes. And so there's some old paper sizes and colors written on the wall. Right now, this is our car storage area. So we've got some of our like dead stock projects back here that are waiting for some kind of opportunity. So we've got Bratz and Caprices and E60s. There's an old service bay back here. This is also the wettest part of the area. So the last thing I want to do is work on a car back here in Waterworld. So this lift is functional. We can do projects, but it just kind of sucks to be back here. It's really wet. Oh, it's like brown stuff all down my arm. Way worse than the other spot. This is the newest part of the whole factory, which means it's the worst part of the factory, which, you know, you come to your own conclusion with that one. This is the Bronco. This is the truck that I blew up when I was 16 years old. That's the one that I've been meaning to make into a prototype for our car company Mutiny for a long time. Just haven't gotten over the hill on that one. I think I need a few more hands around here if we're gonna make that thing happen. I'm taking you into the other high bay. So this is where our large projects will happen. This is where our race rig currently lives, but this is our high bay where we can do bus stuff and fire truck stuff, and we can do all the large projects that we wanna do. We can pull things in off the street here and work on them. There's heavy power back here, there's air, there's everything we can need. The only thing we don't have back here is a dry floor. You'll see in a sec. I want to show you the self-driving fire truck that we've built that we haven't used anything for yet. But you can see there's a number of tarps that we use to channel water off the ceiling. This is probably the most urgent part where we need to replace the roof on it. This is a good place to get big products done though, like something like this. This is our 99E1. This is a fire truck I bought from the Ann Arbor Fire Department. We also made it into a self-driving fire truck. Give them a peek in there. Just 1 second. Okay, peek is over. This is something that you can drive with a remote control. You can email it and it drives around, or you can hook it to chat. So we'll see what we do with that product. That's it. That's the Highbay. So we have building 1, which is the design center. 2 is the race garage. 3 is the logistics center. 4 is the Highbay. I want to take you to building number 5 right now, which is the print factory. So as I said before, we bought this place from people who made envelopes. For the last 50 years, they made envelopes here, and we have woken up some of the manufacturing equipment that they use to print all these envelopes and other giant things. We have a 60-year-old exposure unit. We have an 80-year-old paper shear, and these are things that we got working that work right now. Let me show you this. This is not a plug, but this is one of the tests that we made on it. Our friend illustrated a little photo of the factory there. It's kind of cool. It's got the, little dumpster fire, the K-truck, burglars, all that kind of thing. These will be on the shop later. I'm not trying to sell you this print right now. It's just something that we've run on the print line. This shear will absolutely remove your arms if you let it. It has almost no safety features at all, except 2 giant buttons that you put your arms up to run the shear, which is the way of getting your arms out of it. What if you have 2 people running the machine? Think of that. This is the heart of the printing operation. This is a flatbed screen print line. And so this screen prints just like people screen print t-shirts. You lay down a screen, you put ink on the top, it smears it, it's all automated. This machine's only about 35 years old. This is much newer, and we got this whole thing running. There's a bigger line behind it that needs some parts. This is a way that we can make some income at the factory right now by selling prints that people want. So if you have any ideas for things that we should print, let me know. So that is all 5 buildings that make up the car factory. The question I most commonly get is, what is the plan for everything? And the plan is this show right here. So we are doing a weekly show every Saturday on YouTube about the car factory, about car projects, renovations, repairs, racing, the Battlegate. Yes, that will also get done. It's time for this whole series to grow up from short form, which I really enjoy doing and I'll keep doing, but to long form now so you can see this entire process in HD. I think this project just feels better in long form videos. It would mean the world to me if you hit the subscribe button and make the number go up. It just tells us that you are out there watching and you want to see more of this stuff. We also have a Patreon that includes a free tier that'll get you access to our private Discord. We also have a special episode that'll come out every month on Patreon that only subscribers get on there. So if you want to hit that too. But I'm just glad you're watching this thing. So let's get this car factory done. It's been long enough. Thank you.